Good afternoon, you ruddy lovely people, and welcome along to your match preview on the channel for Tottenham Hotspur's trip to Leeds this Saturday afternoon at 12:30 PM in the Premier League. Am I confident? Not really, to be honest with you guys. We always seem to lose heading into the international break, and Elland Road is a real fortress. I don't think this ground gets the respect it deserves. It's a horrible ground to go to. It's hostile. It creates an unbelievable atmosphere. When Elland Road is rocking, I genuinely think it's louder than Anfield when it's rocking. You know, people constantly talk about the Anfield atmosphere. I don't really see it as one of the top atmospheres in the country. I'm looking at Elland Road, St James's Park. Those are the grounds in the top level of English football that create an unbelievable atmosphere, you know. Another one, to be fair, is the Stadium of Light. Those are the grounds I'm looking at, so it's going to be a tough game for Spurs. It really, really is. Looking at Leeds' start to the Premier League season, it hasn't been bad at all. They won their first game 1-0 against Everton thanks to a penalty. Lost their second game 5-0 to Arsenal, but it is at the Emirates. You know, it's very, very difficult to go there and get a result. Not many teams are going to be able to do that this season. They drew their third game at home 0-0 against Newcastle, a clean sheet there, great result. They conceded a last-minute winner against Fulham away from home at Craven Cottage. Following on from that, that ought to have stung the Leeds fans there because they defended really well in that game, and last minute, heartbreaking for them. Followed it up though with a 3-1 win against Wolves. What a result that was. What a performance that was. I was watching the Tottenham-Brighton game in Gran Canaria, and there were some Leeds fans in the restaurant I was watching it in. Every single minute they were jumping up and cheering about something, whether it was a goal or a great chance or a great tackle. So they played brilliant in that game, and I watched the highlights obviously on Match of the Day, and a great free kick as well in that game. Good finish from Calvert-Lewin to get him off the mark. And yeah, they've kicked into gear going forward now. A 2-2 draw against Bournemouth in their most recent game. Bournemouth, a team that travelled to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and played us off the park. Leeds were the better team in that game from what I've seen and heard. So it is not going to be easy. When you look at their strengths, I think aside from the Arsenal game, they've been very solid defensively so far this season. Hard to break down. Individual players that have really impressed me, I think their midfield has been fantastic. I'm especially looking at Longstaff and Stack, you know. Stack I didn't know loads about. Longstaff, I didn't expect too much. Both have been brilliant. The work rate from both has just been outstanding. But they do have weaknesses as well, Leeds. I think they have a lack of a striker at the moment. They've scored 5 goals in their last couple of games, which is a lot better. But you look at some of the goals, they're screamers, you know, from midfielders or free kicks or set pieces. And whilst Calvert-Lewin did score recently, I still think he is nowhere near the level. And if he finished his chances in the Newcastle game, in the Everton game for most of that, in the Fulham game, they could be, you know, in the top half of the table right now. They could be maybe sat in the Champions League places, because I think they've done exactly what you need to if you're a Championship team coming up to the Prem. And it's what Thomas Frank did at Brentford. It's what kept them up, right? Daniel Farke, in the not in the Premier League, in the Championship, wanted to dominate possession in every game, be protagonists on the pitch, high press no matter the opposition, because they were the best team, you know, player for player in the league, and they won the league because of that. Now they've come up to the Premier League. The principles are still the same. He'd rather control the ball than not control it. He wants to press, but there are a few more measures to control games, a few more measures to manage games when they're ahead. Maybe when they're ahead, they change formation. They bring on a couple of players, and they played a 4-2-3-1 a lot in the Championship to benefit them when playing out. They're playing a 4-3-3 now. They're not playing out from the back as much as they did, going along a little bit. So the principles are still there that were there in the Championship for Farke's Leeds. But in the Premier League, he's adapted and tweaked a few things to make him a little bit more solid defensively. And again, that Arsenal game, Arsenal couldn't even get out of second gear. They hammered him. I don't think Leeds did a lot wrong. Apart from that, they've been very, very hard to break down. Apart from that, they've conceded 3 goals, which is brilliant for a team that have just come up. And I think they've got a really good chance of staying up, you know. I really do. I think the promoted teams this season have their best chance in years. Burnley, I don't know about them, but Sunderland, Leeds, I think both of them have got a great chance. I really, really do. And Elland Road has been a fortress for them so far this season, like you'd expect it to be, really. You know, they won their first game there, drew their second game there, drew their third game there. They haven't lost there yet, and that's down to the Leeds faithful making it a great atmosphere. So yeah, we've talked about Leeds. We've looked at them. Now let's look at Tottenham. We're not going to go too in-depth about the games. You guys know. Opened the season up. Great win at home against Burnley. Unbelievable performance at the Etihad. 2-0 win there. Dominated. Played off the park by Iraola's Cherries in the third game. Came back from the international break. Followed that up with a 3-0 win. I wish it was 4-0. 3-0 win against West Spam. Then we followed that up. I think that was the Brighton game, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the Brighton game. The 2-2 draw against Brighton. Following on from that, the 1-1 draw against Wolves. And now we've got this game. So Spurs have only lost one game. Very solid at the back. A little bit like Leeds though. Spurs are lacking that striker at the moment. Richarlison, nowhere near good enough recently. Solanke just had to have surgery, so he'll be out for a little bit longer. We're lacking that real quality up top. So I don't see there being loads of goals in this game. Spurs haven't scored many, but haven't let in many. And aside from that Arsenal game, it's the same with Leeds this season. They haven't scored loads. You know, the Wolves game was a bit of an exception and an anomaly for them. Same with the West Ham game for us. But both teams been in tight games this season. Stingy at the back. Struggle to put the ball in the back of the onion bag going forward. So I see it being a tight game, and the scoreline could go 1-0 or 2-1 either way. With how Spurs will set up in this game, I expect us to play counter-attacking football. We did at Bodo Glimt. I think we will in a majority of our away games, no matter who the opposition are. I don't have too much of a problem with that, as long as we're expansive in our home games. We play counter-attacking away, not just park the bus like we did in that first half against Bodo Glimt. If we're playing on the break, though, I think Xavi Simons could be massive in this game for us. Because Leeds, even though they're taking more precautions to try and be more solid and, you know, not as open, they're still going to press high. They're at home. They're going to be aggressive. If we can play out, I think you need that player in the middle who can turn on the ball, drop of the shoulder, take a few players out of the equation, and boom, we've got an overload on the counter-attack. That man is the man I made a video about the other day. That man is the man who twice we've seen him in the number 10, and he's dominated the game when he's been in that position. That man is Xavi Simons. He has got to start in the number 10. Frank said himself in his press conference the other day, his best position is the 10. We've got to play him there. I get that we haven't got too much quality on the left, but for me, the quality of our play improves when Simons in the 10, even if we have a lesser option on the left. It looks better on paper if Simons is on the left, our squad, our lineup. Simons in the 10 though, it just improves us and we flow so much more. We saw it at the end of the Bodo game and at the end of the Brighton game. This man's quality, and just play him in his position. Play him in his position. I think Spurs will be countering. I think he'll go with a 4-2-3-1, Frank. He's opted for a 4-3-3 a lot more this season than I expected, to be honest, you know. Hasn't really played a back five. He hasn't played a back five at all. He did against PSG. I only see him doing that really in a few games when we play Liverpool, both home and away. I expect to probably see that. Maybe not at home, definitely away. Arsenal away, I think he'll probably opt for a back five because it worked in pre-season. So, I think 4-3-3. That's the formation he's gone with a lot. I think that's the one he will... No, actually, I think he will go with his 4-2-3-1 because we're counter-attacking. And if he plays that natural number 10, Simons can do that. So I think he'll go with the 4-2-3-1. If he goes with a 4-3-3, I think Simons is on the left and Bergval's in the middle. In terms of the lineup, Vicario, he will start. I wouldn't mind Kinski starting, though. For me, you've got to earn your starts, and Vicario hasn't been mustered at all recently. Back four, I think Pedro Porro, Destiny, Doji in a centre-back partnership of Van der Ven and Romero. Big fan of Spence, hugely improved, but just like I said about Vicario, you've got to earn your starts. And Spence in the last couple of games, not good enough. Not unbelievable defensively like we used to from him over the last few months. And going forward, the man cannot cross the ball at all. So, yeah, for me, Spence dropped for this game. Porro and Udoji. I'm going to go with Paulinho and Sarr if we're playing that 4-2-3-1, the two sort of defensive midfielders. That'll allow Simons to have the freedom in the 10. Then I think you're looking at pace on the wing, so I'm going to go with Odebert on the left, Kudus on the right. And it's frustrating because we haven't got many other options, but Richarlison up top. It would be incredible if we saw that Muani was fit. But by the sounds of it, he's got a dead leg. I mean, his leg genuinely must be dead then because we haven't seen him in a couple of months. You know, What's going on here, in the words of Perchy? Like, come on, man. We're constantly hearing he's got a dead leg. Has there been some sort of fallout backstage with a member of the coaching staff or just member of staff at the club in general? I don't know, but hopefully we see him after the international break. That's the same with Solanke. Kulusevski, getting closer to him coming back, that will be a huge asset in a Frank system. But yeah, I think Leeds go for the 4-3-3. Frank actually changes it, goes for the 4-2-3-1. I think it's a tight game. I don't think there's much in it. I'm going to say 1-1. I'm going to say it's a similar game to the Wolves and Bodo one, where Spurs sit in, defend pretty well, concede a goal though eventually because it isn't sustainable at an away ground like this. I'm going to say it's a goal from one of their midfielders, Stack again, let's say him. Then I think Spurs fight back a little bit towards the end. I think we get a late equaliser from the 75th to the 90th minute. And a point ain't the worst result in the world. That means we'll be heading into the international break with one loss. We lost 22 games last season. I think to appreciate not losing games that often so far this season and Spurs actually looking a bit more of an organised unit, we have to look at how much of a shambles we were for most of last season. But yeah, hopefully some more attacking output. I'd love like a big attacking display. Even if we don't particularly score many goals, I want to see Spurs flowing in those forward areas. And I think we've got more of a chance of it if Xavi Simons starts. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Wouldn't be surprised if we lost though. We always seem to heading into these international breaks, man. And it's so frustrating because you have to sort of sit on it for a couple of weeks and suck it up, and it's just constantly getting bantered about your pathetic performance, you know, a couple of weeks back. And Romero as well, I'm thinking, you know, Romero, he's always off it heading into the international breaks. What a coincidence. Every game before the international break, he's either got a knock or he's not on it. He didn't travel to Bono, so he might not start again here. I mean, I love Romero, but this is the big thing for me. If you're a captain, you've got to lead by example. The man clearly values Argentina more than Spurs. I want my captain to live and breathe this football club. As aggressive as Romero is and as much as he cares, I don't have a problem with players valuing their country more. But you can't be like, let's be honest, faking injuries or, you know, it's basically like that little kid who books a day off school because he's got a bit of a sniffly nose just because he doesn't want to go in because there's a few lessons he doesn't like. That person was me. So, takes the day off, sits there with his soup and stuff. Come the next day, when there are lessons that are better, rise and shine. He's up for it. He's up for the cup. He arrives. So that'll be it with Romero probably. But yeah, 1-1 draw I am going with. Not the end of the world if that is the result. Guys, I'm going to make like a banana and split. Take care of yourselves. All the best. God bless. And as always and forever, come on, you Spurs.